Oh, that would be Alonso.
It was the circuit of the first ever Formula One Grand Prix.
The Poison Dwarf, Mr. Eccleston. Hell no. Lewis will never ever go to Ferrari. The French paper actually got it right when they said Lewis Hamilton, 8-time world champion. That wouldn't be Ralph Schumacher, would it?
Hello and welcome to Stripping the Dipping. You're joined by your usual co-host, AMG Denz, aka Lewis Hamilton Simulator Protege. Had to add that in there. And listen, I'm really honored to have a very close member of the family here. She's one of my favorite Scots persons, and literally I feel she's like the mom of Team LH and the community. She's such a star, and I'm very, very proud and honored to have the amazing Mary Binnie on the show today. Mary, I'm so excited to have you on this week's episode. How have you been keeping?
Thank you. Um, Good. Thanks, Denz. I've
Oh,
been good. I've been good.
oh, that's what we like to hear. Because honestly, Mary, like you always keep our spirits up within the community, and like I was saying earlier as well, off air, just like it's such a pleasure because you've had so much. You've been following the sport for quite some time, so you've got a lot of
Oh
like
yeah.
knowledge that you share with us all the time, which we love. And actually, to leave my first question, Mary, like when did you start
Mhm.
watching Formula One roughly, and like who were the champions of the day back when you started watching F1?
Well, it was my dad that got me into F1 because he always liked Graham Hill and James Hunt. And I started. I remember the first race I went to was properly. It was 1985 at Silverstone, and that was the
Wow.
first race I actually went to. And from then on, it was Nigel Mansell all the way for me.
Oh, you couldn't miss his mustache anywhere, could you? Like his
Uh,
mustache and just how like amazing he was as a driver, even back then, was really incredible. With the Red Five and his time, obviously at Ferrari, his time at Williams, and just he was such a sensational driver.
he really, when he won the championship in the 90s, he should have actually got the seat again. But Williams never gave him the seat, so he should have actually won it in '93 as well. But you know, Williams brought him back for the last four races after Senna died. So yeah, I would have loved to see Nigel winning another championship because I believe he's the most underrated champion ever,
I
and he's
agree
such
with
a
you. Mhm. I definitely agree there, Mary. Just like when you talk about Nigel Mansell, like when I look back at some of the footage, you just see how crazy like people were. Like I remember when he crossed the line in Silverstone one time, just the amount of like British flags and people running onto the circuit.
oh
It's
yeah.
sad that like he's not as celebrated like now as he was in his prime. When he was still in the car. And I absolutely agree with you. He's just one of those like, iconic drivers, very witty, very funny as well, with kind of the comments he would make. And he was a real racer too. He wasn't like
Mm-hmm.
salty or arrogant or had an ego in him. He was just like
No.
one of those guys where if he won, and even when he didn't win, he was still kind of very kind of like respectful to the other drivers as well. So it's funny we mentioned a lot of those traits as well, Mary, because a lot of those traits I feel also apply to Lewis Hamilton,
Oh yeah.
our modern day kind of superstar of the day. Could you give us like your initial thoughts on just like what did you initially think when you discovered Lewis Hamilton, and what
It
was
was
his
actually.
first impressions of you?
I'll tell you, it was actually my dad, Dennis. My dad says to me, "Yeah, you need to watch this young kid. He's going to be big." And that's when I started watching Lewis. That was like mid 2006. And my dad says, "No, you need to watch him. He's going to be a star." And ever since then, I've been watching Lewis.
Honestly, like that's a great kind of way to follow him too. And shout out to your father as well. He knows good drivers for sure. The names I've already heard, from Clark, Graham Hill, Nigel, and now Lewis. And in your eyes, Mary, what would you say make? And I ask this to pretty much everybody in the Team
Yeah,
LH like fan base because you get different responses from different people.
yeah.
But in your eyes, like what makes Lewis so special to you in his way he approaches racing, and just his demeanor in general on and off the circuit?
The fact is how he carries himself. He's not sort of boyish. He used to be a bit when he first started, but he wasn't like out there, if you know what I mean. He sort of kept himself reserved, but now he just acts like it's class. He just acts the way he is. Even off the track, he's still the same person. He doesn't change, and that's what I like about him. He doesn't change.
I agree with you on that one too, Mary. Like he's a very grounded individual, and you can
Yeah,
see this input that he's had from Anthony Hamilton, his dad, and his mother as well. How grounded he's been, and actually, I think I mean, probably in his earliest career, yeah, he was a bit more kind of out there, a bit more flamboyant, and that's part of growing. But I
I
think
mean,
just like
Lewis learned how to deal with the media when he was at McLaren. That's where he learnt his backbone, basically. He
that's
learnt
true
how to
because
deal with them there.
exactly, because like I know you remember this as well, Mary. When he was at McLaren, the media really gave him a hard time. They weren't accustomed seeing his face or seeing how he responds to like questions, and it always felt like they were trying to dig him out or always trying to basically make something out of nothing from him. And in those moments with the media and the general press, they can either
Yeah.
make you or break you. But I think, like you said, it firmed his backbone even more, and it just kind of like shaved him into the person that he is even today, because he's
Mm-hmm.
always been one to talk up, and talk on injustices. He's always been quite outspoken where he needs to be outspoken. And generally speaking as well, like there's some people where they're happy making their money off the circuit, and you don't hear anything from them. But with
No.
Lewis, like it's more than just racing. It's like leaving a legacy. And I think the main thing you said there as well, which I agree with, is his class. He's a very classy person, and he's a driver where I don't think wherever you are in the world you could like ignore Lewis. Like he's a
No.
sensational superstar. So I absolutely agree with you on that one as well, Mary. And we'll come back to Lewis in a second. I actually
Yeah.
wanted to introduce you to another segment of the show. It's called
Okay.
Guess the Word. So I'm going to give you
Oh,
some clues, Mary, and you have
yeah.
to guess the person that we're speaking about. So I've got six for you
Okay.
today, and the first one. So he made his debut with Jordan, and he basically replaced the driver that got arrested for a taxi incident. Believe it or not. So who's the
Oh.
person you think we're going on about?
Jordan. I'm trying to think back who drove for Jordan. Oh. Oh. Oh God, my mind's been a blank.
I'll give
Mm.
you another clue. His
Yeah, yeah.
debut was actually in Spa. So his debut race was with Eddie Jordan for the Jordan team, and his first ever kind of like race was in Spa in Belgium.
That wouldn't be Ralph Schumacher, would it? I don't
Ooh,
know.
close,
Or the
close.
Michael. Michael.
Michael,
Yes.
yes.
He was one of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What the infamous Schumacher brothers, and I was like, ooh, I could be really easy and just say he's won 7 world champions, and it's not Lewis, but
No,
I
no.
was like, okay, let me see if I could do it differently. So yeah, you got him. Let's go to number two. So the second one, I think you get this one straight away. Actually, a very, very, very famous mustache.
Mansell.
Of course, Red Five, legendary sportsman himself. Amazing. Now, number three. Now, unfortunately, this guy is Scottish, and he's a very annoying pundit that's on Sky.
Oh God, Tino Denzel. That is Paul. Most
Yeah, who we won't say the
difficult.
rest. That guy,
Yeah,
that
yeah, that
guy.
guy. That guy.
Okay, we've got another villain that's actually followed him afterwards. So, in fact, this one will be a nice one for you as well. He was driving incredibly slowly at Monaco.
Oh, that would be Alonso.
I like the remix there, Mary. Yes, Mr. Alonso. Because I just What's your take on that as well, Mary? Can I get your reaction at just
No.
what you thought at the time? Because
Oh my
what was he
God.
doing?
That's non-refutable text. Because it literally is non-refutable. I just say, oh God, this man has got to go, man.
I agree with you. Just
It's like he was trying to he was definitely backing up Lewis because when I heard it on Ocon's team radio, Fernando was blocking Lewis. I went, to try and stop it, you know?
this is exactly it. Yeah.
Come on, I hope Alpine did the right thing and just announced a new driver at the British Grand Prix because I would take the biggest party ever.
Oh,
Like,
I would be joining you on that party as well, Mary. And like you said, like Alpine, they've got like Piastri too.
yeah, I would take the biggest Alpine party ever, and I don't even support Alpine.
Well, I'd be joining you at that party, Mary, and I agree. Just like, whilst if I had to look at it objectively, I don't think Alonso's the worst driver on the grid. I agree
Mm,
with a lot of people, including you, Mary. Where his attitude sometimes, or not even sometimes, the majority of the times, his
mm-hmm,
attitude stinks. You know, he's got a really stubborn nature to him. And even
yeah,
though he's probably one of the older drivers on the grid now, he can still be quite kind of egotistical and doing unnecessary things just for the sake of doing it. Because he backed Lewis, and
yeah,
he would argue that he tried to save his tires, but he saved his tires and he still was not able to get anywhere near Lando Norris or Russell. So that strategy failed. And then inadvertently, like he got calmer, as he would say, calmer, because
mm-hmm,
he basically tried to back Lewis into Ocon, and then inadvertently, by backing Lewis into Ocon, he cost Ocon points because Ocon was
yeah,
just in the fringes of the top 10 on in
yeah,
track terms of track position. All he needed was a 5 second gap with penalty. And because of what Alonso did, it meant to say that Ocon couldn't build a gap. So he got
yeah.
screwed out of the points. So
Right.
honestly, I don't know what kind of plan they have at Alpine. They call it the L plan, but I think it's the
Yeah,
retirement plan for
yeah. Well,
Fernando Alonso.
he needs to go back and sit in that deck chair. That deck chair's calling him.
I agree. Just it's probably the most suited for him because other than that, like I don't see what value he really adds to the sport, you know, other than like deliberately being controversial, which, you know, it only goes so far and it's only a matter of time, you know, before people get fed
I
up
just
because
think he lives in his own head. I mean, he must live in his own bubble. He's dreaming that he's going to win another world championship, and that's never going to happen.
yeah, I highly doubt that's going to happen as well, Mary. Because even if you were to take Lewis out of it, you've got the likes of Charles Leclerc, you've got the likes of Lando Norris, you've got the likes of George. As much as I don't really like to big this guy up, you've even got Mad
No,
Max out there too,
yeah,
which I think as a driver, he's a lot more hungry, he's a lot more faster, he's just got that raw edge that Alonso doesn't really have. So I completely agree with
yeah,
you. You know, so yeah, so that's been our Alonso slander segment. We always have to fit one in when it
yeah.
comes to Alonso. It's two more, Mary. So the
And,
next one,
and the fact is, I kept it clean days.
you know it was coming. We needed to do it. It wouldn't be right if we
Yeah,
had a section on Alonso without giving him his due slander. So of
yeah,
course. So the next word, Mary, it's a circuit,
yeah.
and I can get you on this one. It was the first. It was the circuit of the first ever Formula One Grand Prix.
Oh, that'd be the home of Formula One. That'd be Silverstone.
Indeed, you are correct, Mary. You're going 5 for 5 at the moment, and of course, as well. I mean, I was going to save this for later, but actually,
Yeah.
Mary, you're going there later. Well, in a couple of weeks' time as well, because it's July that the Silverstone Grand Prix is, right?
Yes, July the 3rd.
Woo, 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 woo. This is so exciting. Like how are you feeling about this as well? You know, I mean, it's gonna be like hammer time. I'm hoping to see
Listen,
some purple flares there too. But yeah, how are you
I just
feeling?
want, I just want Lewis to get that nice British Grand Prix win. I just want to hear Bono say, "Get in there, Lewis." Just, I just, I've missed it for so long.
Oh,
I
haven't we
just
all?
want him to have a win, either by chance Baku or maybe Montreal, because he loves Montreal. That track, he loves that because
It
that's
really
where he
is
had his
his.
first. That's where he had his first win in F1, was Montreal.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember that one as well. Just and he really put a dominant performance in that race, and then people forget that Lewis is in his rookie season and he got a
Yeah.
podium, or not podium, he won that race and had podiums even before that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, I'm not naming other drivers particularly, but there's another McLaren driver there at the moment, name beginning with L, and he threw away a race win last year
Oh,
in
yeah.
Sochi. So,
Oh, yeah.
there's different
Yeah.
types of gravy out here, but absolutely, I mean, he's just a master at so many circuits. But going back to the original one, Silverstone is just his playground. He just comes here and he just turns up a level, and I think, ironically, I think it was Mansell that said when you drive at the Silverstone Grand Prix and you're a British driver, you gain
You
like
get
an
the buzz
extra
off
two or
the
three
fans.
clips. Exactly.
Lewis, Lewis thrives off of that every year.
Exactly. You see the energy as well, and I just loved some of the celebrations we've got from Lewis over the years at Silverstone. They're for the archives. They're almost like things you could show your family or your grandkids or your cousins or your nieces and nephews in years to come when you see Lewis
I'll, I'll,
surfing, crowd surfing. And
I'll tell you my favourite one is when he was crowd surfing. I actually touched his bum.
cheeky.
That was my favourite.
Oh, I could see why, but yeah, just like, and that's amazing as well that Silverstone's one of probably only a few races where the fans are able to get so close to the drivers, and I've seen Lewis be a bit more tentative with fans because of the whole
Yeah,
COVID thing over the years, but I think when it
yeah.
just comes to Silverstone, you just have to let go and you just have to just enjoy the vibes because it's just
Oh, yeah.
so phenomenal and it's really, really, really just something. It's a shame actually I didn't get tickets this year. I would have loved to go, but I'm gonna make sure I'm with you next year, Mary, when you go there
Yeah.
again next year, and we can
Well,
experience it together.
Nelly is planning to go to Silverstone next year then.
Oh my god, we can get the
So
whole
my,
band together. But now we just need
yeah,
to get
my
Georgiana
partner
too.
in crime. My partner in crime will be there.
Literally, could you imagine just the whole flock of us there? Like, it would just be crazy. I think we'd scare all of the Orange Army. There would be no Max Verstappen fans there. They all just evaporate into clean air once they
And you
see us in
imagine if
full
we
effect.
could do imagine if we could do a podcast live from Silverstone.
That would be amazing. Again, like it wouldn't. That actually might not be too hard technically to do. It might be something we could look into close to the time. So absolutely,
Excuse me.
and just how
Yeah,
authentic would that be? Just to see the live scenes of Lewis just driving around circuit whilst giving like
honestly,
a live commentary of what's going on.
when Lewis wins, sees it, the buzz, the absolute buzz that you feel. Oh
It
my
would be
God, you
amazing.
can't even describe it.
Exactly. It's just one of those things, Mary, where it's just one of a lifetime. Like Lewis winning in Silverstone is almost as if it's like Senna winning in Brazil. It's just
So
the
yeah,
whole like country, I think, gets united for that split period of time, just for something so incredible. So absolutely, and I'm really happy for you as well, Mary. Like at least one of us is going, and it's you. So I can't wait to see
I
the
go every
photos.
year. I go every year, James. Well, when
Oh,
I was gutted when it was off during
exactly.
like,
Just the
I was
lockdown.
really gutted.
Oh, I could imagine as well. Because even that year, we had Lewis finishing the race on three tires. Like, could you
Yes,
imagine how
oh,
crazy
that
that
was
would have been?
brilliant. And then, of course, you remember like the next game week, it was the 50th. Oh, it was the anniversary thing, and Max won that.
Yeah, which again we,
Yeah.
we we don't really talk about too much. But
No.
anyway, but yeah, I mean, just like still, just to have Lewis home and just to see this kind of this even just the way we react. If it's not at the circuit, it's in the Twitter Spaces, it's in our group chats as well. Just we have such an amazing buzz and energy, and you really feel that in the community as well. So I'm really excited. And for the last question, Mary, you go
Yeah.
6 for 6 here. So
Okay.
this is a guy, and
Uh huh.
he is renowned, Mary. Like people know him, I guess, not most, but he's one of the things he's always suggested. He proposed putting sprinklers on the race circuit, like to create artificial rain, sometimes to spice up a race. Who said this? And he's very short
Mm.
as well, and he has lots of money. That's what I'll
Oh,
say.
that would be the poisoned dwarf, Mr. Eccleston.
Six for six, Mary, on a row. You hit a six like it's cricket. And yeah, that would be Mr. Eccleston himself, Mr. Dwarf, Mr. My money's too good enough for everyone.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's a
Mm-hmm.
very interesting figure, I must say so.
Yeah.
But having said that as well, Mary, like, whilst I've got you here as well, like,
Yeah.
what era of Formula One do you think was better? The Bernie era, like where it was just more about like the racing and just, like just watching it there and then, or do you like kind of every? I guess each side has its pros and cons, but
Yeah.
do you prefer maybe this newer era of Formula One with Liberty Media and kind of what they're doing with trying to like make the drivers and teams more accessible with the content?
Nah, I was, even though personally I didn't like Bernie, he had his good points and
Mm,
he also had his bad points. He's a bit like Rod Dennis. Rod
mm.
Dennis was the exact same. That was the only guy, apart from like Lucy's dad, that backed Lewis 100%. I would say under Bernie because at least we had Charlie Whiting,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
I would say under Bernie, even though he wasn't the most honest person alive, but I would say under Bernie.
Yeah, and I think that's fair too, because at least when it was Bernie, don't get me wrong, there were times where they would still do some weird stuff, or
Yeah,
they would try and kind of screw over maybe a team that was doing too well, like Ferrari, and try and peg them back and stuff like that. But genuinely, it was just about the racing and just the
yeah.
nostalgia too of like, Fleetwood Mac, the chain, just hearing that
Oh,
on the BBC
yeah.
coverage.
As soon as I heard that, you knew it was race time. You knew, let's go, boom. And it was Murray Walker. See, I had the best commentator ever. I grew up listening to Murray. And even though Murray sort of, buggered up, sometimes he still carried on. He was like a pro, an absolute pro. I
Yeah,
mean, I
he
remember,
was so professional. I agree. And
oh,
even when he got something wrong, Mary, like you're gonna say there too, just like he would just style it out in the most like he
yeah.
I think is the original smooth operator, Mary. Like he
Oh,
would be
God,
like
yeah.
he'd be like, oh, and that's Michael Schumacher. Oh wait, no, that's Barrichello. Or one of his other funny like Murrayisms as we call it would be like, yes, and the car in front is completely unique and its own like prototype, except from the car behind, which is completely identical and from the same team. I
Yeah.
was like,
Well, at
he was just
least, I mean, I remember like Murray and James Hunt commentating as well.
ooh.
And that was quite interesting because they only had one mic to share. And
And
when James grabbed the mic, like I think Murray spoke about this in an interview that he done. When James Hunt grabbed the mic off of Murray Walker, Murray was going to punch him. Yeah.
I was gonna say that too, Mary, because like they're two complete like opposite
Oh yeah.
characters. Like Murray's very regimented, very disciplined. He served in the forces as well, and was very kind of like gentleman-like. Whereas Hunt
Mm,
now was still in his like rock star kind of like bag, and
yeah.
he just smoked, drank. He was having fun with the women in a certain way, and you could see that Murray respected him as a driver, but not his
Oh yeah.
lifestyle. So
Yeah.
there was always a bit of friction, and you could imagine the sharing one microphone, one commentator probably wanted their point to be heard louder than the other, so
Oh
created
yeah.
this kind of like like call and response dynamic in the commentary box, which I don't think we will ever honestly be able to replicate. It was just the magic
No.
of that time, but amazing, just amazing.
But
And
what
go on, sorry,
F1
man.
needs now? No, sorry, Dad. What F1 needs now is, I know we'll probably never ever get it, but we need another Charlie Whiting because I
Absolutely.
just don't like the way that F1 is heading. I just don't like the direction that they're going.
That's true. And Mary, it's like I say this about every guest. I think you guys can see my screen or something, because that was actually the segue into my next question, Mary, because I was actually gonna
Mhm.
say that, unfortunately, you always have to start the sentence when it comes to this topic
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
unfortunately. You were there at Abu Dhabi when we experienced that
Oh
farce, that
yeah.
absolute,
Yeah.
rip off, that
Yeah.
kind of
The manipulation.
yeah, that like fraudulence of a race that the FIA engineered. when they realized there was no other way that they could screw Lewis over. You were there firsthand to see how that played out, and this the heartache and maybe the confusions, like just the tenseness in the air when that happened as well. My question
It
was,
was,
Mary, is this
yeah.
like now that we have this reshuffled regime of the FIA, a couple of people have
Mhm.
been moved downstairs. That fraud Michael Massey. We've even got a
Mhm.
new FIA president. No longer do we have John Todd. Now it's Mohammed Ben Sulayem. I have my
Yeah.
thoughts, and I know that yours are going to be quite similar. But I have to ask you the question anyway. You know,
Mhm.
is there any improvement in your eyes with this kind of like revised regime of the FIA, and
and,
what have you made of them
uh,
so far?
and one answer, no.
Hmm.
I don't believe they're changed. As far as I'm concerned, they still have no integrity, and I don't trust them 1 inch. They haven't changed nothing, in my opinion. That
And I think
report was a joke.
the report was just a slap in the face. That was just like a, oh, shush 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 shush. It's okay, kids. You can go to bed now. It's fine. Like just
It's just like what Christian Horner. I hate to mention that guy's name. It's just like what Horner said. Oh, everybody will forget about it. No, they'll not forget about it. It's not going to go away. It's. I mean, I replay that in my head every day, and that's been over 6 months now, and I can still see it as clear as day. And I just, I was, me personally, I was like dumbfounded. I just couldn't believe that it was actually happening. I thought time has stood still. It was just, and then when I left the track about 4 hours later, I just screamed. And then ever since then, when anybody either posts something about AG, I just get annoyed. I thought, no, it's as far as I'm concerned, AD is still raw for me, and I don't think that'll change for a while, unless Lewis gets justice and he gets his 8th title, which should be his 11th title.
exactly when you consider all the other ones where he was so close and then something went out of his favor, like the engine failure in Malaysia in 2016
Yeah.
when he should
Oh,
have won
good.
that one.
Yeah.
Or even
Yeah.
even like people forget that Lewis was in contention for the world championship in his rookie year. He could have won
Yes,
that too had
2007.
exactly when McLaren, again, they got it wrong. They ignored Lewis when Lewis was saying that the tires were bold. They left him out there, and then the guy came into the pits and had no tires to stop
Yeah.
with. Gets the car beached on the gravel, and I think that was the year, or was that period of time where previously the marshals used to like push the drivers out of the gravel trap and give them like a second
Yeah.
chance, but
Yeah.
from that kind of era onwards, it was like if you beach it in the gravel, that's it, it's game over. And again, McLaren could have had that championship for Lewis too had they had just listened to him at the
It's like,
time.
as
And
far as I'm concerned, it's like it needs to catch up to, like, as I say, 2007, 2012, 2016, and 2021.
there we go.
That's
Like
what it
there's so
needs.
many examples. Exactly. And that's the thing, like of all just the drivers, for what Lewis has done for the sport, the fans, the me for everyone, like it would be a crime to me if he doesn't get that 8 minimum because of
Yeah.
just the amount of effort, dedication,
See, the
time.
thing is, as I said, I've been watching like F1 since the 80s, and the F1 was slowly dying before Lewis came into the sport. It was because all we had was like Schumacher.
Mhm.
It was slowly dying, and then Lewis just popped up, and it was like an injection, if you know what I mean. It was just
Yeah.
wow. So I got reinvigorated in F1 again. The passion was still there. It was dying, but he just sparked it off again. And as I say, I've had my Twitter since like 2016, but after AD, I started rapid on that. It was like, no, I can't. Something needs to be done. And when Suleiman comes out with these comments saying, "Oh, he might bring Massey back," that would just kill me. I didn't even know why he's even coming out with stuff like that. It's just after the damage, and you're still wanting to say that.
This is the thing as well, Mary, which just indicates to like us as the fans that they don't really care, and all the stuff they do is superficial. They just do it
Yeah.
to kind of like silence people for a period of time, but they themselves, they're so corrupt and so bad-minded, Mary. They don't see the wicked of their own ways, which is crazy to me, and that's why it's just it's unfathomable sometimes how Lewis has had such a long career. He's had so much longevity in the sport for a
Mm,
sport that doesn't give him the respect and the props and just the plaudits that he deserves. He deserves that
yeah.
man deserves his flowers, you know. And this is
And
the thing.
the fact, sorry, Des, I keep interrupting you,
No, it's fine.
but
It's fine.
the fact is that Lewis, his time is still at the same level as what it was in 2007. He's never lost that.
Mhm,
He's still got it.
mhm.
And what really annoys me is we do spaces of that and just say, "Oh, Lewis is retired." That really ticks me off when they mention about Lewis retired. Lewis is not going anywhere. He has said this himself until he's finished his masterpiece, and he's not finished yet. Obviously,
That's so true.
you know.
That's the thing, you know, and that's the thing with it as well, Mary. Like it's not like other drivers where I feel like they have like a shelf life, and at some point, a team will make an executive decision to kind of move them on. Lewis is Mercedes. He's been a Mercedes driver even from like the driver academy days through Ron
Yeah.
Dennis with the Mercedes Benz McLaren program and stuff like that. He's
Well,
always had.
Lewis has been with Mercedes since he was 8 years old.
There we go. There we go. You know, so like there's no reason for them to kind of put, and not only that as well, like once in a blue moon you'll get a driver that's phenomenal. Once in a blue moon you'll get a driver that could win
Yeah.
two, maybe three on the bounce. But Lewis is a megastar. Like he has more
Mm.
followers than even the F1 page does
Yes.
itself. Like he's a global phenomenon. So in that sense, it wouldn't make sense. I don't think Mercedes have any plans to move him on anyway. But even in that sense, like you rightfully said as well, like it's his call when he decides to move
Yeah.
on or not. And ultimately, I don't think he's gonna move on
No.
until you know he gets what he's looking for and what he deserves. You know,
Like
so I
I, I,
absolutely
I
agree.
remember, I remember somebody saying in his face, "Oh, I can see Lewis going to Ferrari," and I just had to interrupt. And I went, "Hell no, Lewis will never ever go to Ferrari. Period."
True.
Lewis started his career with Mercedes. He will finish his career with Mercedes. He will not be a Ferrari driver. He likes Ferrari, but he will not be a driver.
I agree, and that's the thing as well. Like everybody respects Ferrari. They're one of the well, not one of the most. They're the most iconic brand, I guess, in the sports because they've never taken a break from F1. They've been in it continuously since its inception. But having said that, Lewis is he bleeds Mercedes. It's the three
Yeah,
pointed star. It's the best or nothing. You know that guy is like life. You know, and yeah, just I mean, it'd be cool. It's always cool to kind of see how a driver of Lewis's caliber would do for the Scuderia, and just to see
yeah.
how that dynamic would play out. But I agree with you, Mary. There's certain
The only
legacies
thing,
that's never
yeah,
change.
the other thing that broke my heart about AD Denz was when I seen Lucy's dad hugging him. That just broke my heart.
Oh, and you know what,
But
Mary? Like that's the thing that parents they go through, you know, and like they see their children's disappointment through, and sometimes how it's not their child's lack of ability that hasn't helped them achieve their goal. It's how a system can work completely against them. And from day
mm-hmm,
one, Anthony's always been encouraging Lewis, he's always been, no, I wouldn't say protecting Lewis, but preparing Lewis for real
mm,
world, real life experience. Because not everyone's going to smile at you, not everyone's going to laugh at you,
yeah,
not everyone has your best, like, you know, intentions, you know, to heart.
yeah,
And it's clear as day, as we've both highlighted that, you know, like, there's a lot of people that wish bad things upon Lewis. Why? I don't
oh yeah,
understand, because he's the most genuine guy they got there on the grid. But and there's always gonna be a but. You do get those
yeah,
people where they're
oh
just
yeah,
jealous or envious, or they can't stand it because they wish it was them. But you know,
yeah,
they didn't put in sacrifices that Anthony put. You know, remortgaging
yeah,
like their houses to give
yeah. Two
Lewis the
jobs.
career. working two, maybe even three jobs just to kind
Yeah,
of support not only Lewis, but obviously his little brother as well, Nicholas, and the rest of the family
yeah.
too.
And
And
Nicholas has been a big supporter of Lewis for years as well. I
exactly,
mean,
and
he's actually a good driver as well.
exactly, and even with him, he has like his disability, but again, it's the ethos in that family that nothing's
It just
impossible and
doesn't
nothing can
stop
stop
him.
you down. Exactly,
And
exactly that, Mary.
it's like Lewis says, never give up.
True, and still we rise, and that's the
Hmm.
thing. They could do whatever they want to do. They could try and take away his jewelry. They could tell him that he's not allowed to do this, he can't do that, and so forth and so on. But they can't take his
But
identity, and they can't
no,
take his success, and they can't take his
but
spirit.
really sort of hacked me off. I don't know. I'd like your thoughts on this as well, Denz.
Mm.
You know when Lewis got tested? Now, it really ticked me off because I've been watching F1 for years, and I was trying to make a point on this on a space, like, and they just wouldn't get my point. I haven't heard of an F1 driver getting tested in years, and all of a sudden Lewis gets tested. I just found it after the jewellery thing. I thought, oh, what? This is a bit like, what's going on here? You know, I haven't even heard of Vettel or anybody getting tested in years, and that's the point I was trying to make. But
Well,
it
Mary,
just seems like,
I accept that point from you because it's the truth, and it fits into this narrative, Mary, of FIA and FOM. They say we race together or we race as
yeah,
one. It's the race against one in the way that they
yeah,
treat Lewis, the way they persecute Lewis, the way they make him jump through hurdles. No other driver has to go through, and the media have blood on their hand for that too because
oh yeah,
prophesize these narratives too because I believe it was Max Verstappen's dad, the other arrogant
oh yeah,
fish, that
yeah, him,
flipping so
the
patty,
troll,
that selfish patty, that tro, that was the one that
yeah,
came out with the allegations that Angela gives Lewis some sort of performance enhancing drugs in his hands, all kinds of absolute fud, rubbish,
yeah,
completely unfounded, allegations against Lewis. And this is the thing Lewis deals with week in, week out. And
mm-hmm,
sometimes it was even worse when he was a kid because he come
oh
out in
yeah,
interviews and say that kids didn't want to play with him because he was black, or other kids'
mm-hmm,
parents told him, "Oh, don't lend your helmet or lend your gloves to Lewis. Those black people, or those people, you can't trust them." So he's lived with that trauma. No kid should have to ever experience that,
yeah.
like
He's
surface
had that
level.
basically all his lifetime.
Exactly.
Even and it accelerated when he joined McLaren. It was even worse at McLaren, believe it or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, because Alonso was there, and then you remember the Spanish Grand Prix as well with
Uh-huh.
the blackface and the monkey chants and
Yes.
like honestly, Mary, like it doesn't stop. It's relentless, and
And then
it's
that person from McLaren who was tweeting about Lewis had her own thing. Katie someday. That was ridiculous.
exactly, exactly, and that's the thing as well, Mary. Like people have to remember that Lewis is the last world champion for McLaren, so they should be
Yes.
kissing his feet. They should
I
be
noticed
kissing his
that. I don't
feet.
know if you noticed that, Des. They're going to rebuild Lewis's car, his
Yeah, I
championship
saw that.
winning car. I thought they would have gave that to Lewis.
They should. I don't know what contract. You know how, and that again, we have to remember that was the
Yeah,
Ron
yeah,
Dennis era. So maybe
yeah.
Ron was like, "Nah, I want to keep this for the company because it's a good asset that they could sell on in the years and make, not even millions,
Yeah.
billions they could make off
Oh,
of that car." Because
I say to everybody, watch the 2007 season. You can actually pinpoint where this all started with Alonso, what race. You can even tell when it started, and you can
exactly,
actually tell. I mean,
exactly, Mary.
I remember that race where they were double stacking for and
That
Alonso
was
was there.
Hungary, wasn't it?
Yes, he was that's when it all started.
Mm.
That race. That's when it all kicked off. The whole feud and everything. That's when it all started. Alonso was told to go. He didn't go. He held up Lewis, and then you know what happened. And then I just remember seeing on the pit wall the image will always stay with me. I just remember Ron Dennis grabbing Alonso's trainer by the scruff of the neck and hauling him off the pit wall. That's when it all began.
I remember that. I remember it just as clear as yesterday because I remember watching it at the time. I was like, what on earth is going on? Why is Alonso deliberately trying to? And again, for those fans that maybe new or don't know what we're on about, essentially, back in 2007, they still had refueling. So rather than obviously bringing the cars into the garage and refueling them in the garage, which takes a long time, they would change the tires and the fuel right in the pit stop box, like what they would normally do during a race. So Alonso had got his run first because he was a senior driver. They always used to let him set his lap times first. And he knew that Lewis was a threat. Because another track that, again, there's millions of circuits Lewis is amazing at, but Hungary, as I feel, another one where Lewis is just on
Yeah.
a different planet. The
Oh
guy
yeah.
drives that circuit like it's a go kart circuit. He's really good there. But Alonso knew the smoke was coming, and he knew that Hungary is a very difficult circuit to overtake. You can really overtake in Hungary if you've got like a car advantage or if you use the strategy. So what he deliberately did, because he knew him and Lewis was in the same car and Lewis was faster, he deliberately stalled the car or just waited in the pit box.
Yeah,
So
wait.
basically, he could get out just in time to set his qualifying lap, but Lewis wouldn't get to set his second flying lap when the track had evolved.
Yeah,
So,
and that's how
you know,
Alonso got pole.
exactly. And from there, he's always just been like I've come up with a new term for people like that, Mary. He's a saltfish patty. Like he's
Oh,
just
I like
salty.
that.
He's
He's
just
just a patty man. He's a patty
exactly.
man.
He's a chatty patty because it's like he
Yes.
always has something kind of negative or anything he says about Lewis, even if he's being positive, it's with some kind of salt or some kind of
Yeah.
backhanded nature. So
He always
absolutely.
backs up. Alonso always backs up either Max or Lando. I've noticed that. I don't know if
That's
you
so
have.
true. It's so true, man. And the thing is he doesn't even rate them either. He just does it
Nah.
because that's the guy that's going up against Lewis. So he wants to back the underdog. It's nothing really
Yeah.
about him actually respecting Max or thing. Because if you put him and Max in a Red Bull, if Alonso and Max is in a Red Bull too, he would snake Max Verstappen too, and he would deliberately
Yeah.
try and stitch Max up as well. So
And,
he has
and
no loyalty to anyone.
I think was it Hungary last year where Alonso held up Lewis? Because if he didn't held up Lewis, then Lewis would have passed Ocon. Ocon wouldn't have got that win at Hungary
And
for
you
sure.
know, you look at moments like that as well, Mary. And whilst I was happy for Ocon because he's a nice
Yeah.
guy,
Mhm.
he did what he had to do on that day.
Yeah.
It's moments like that where you say Lewis easily could have got points there. Lewis easily could have got points, but for him getting taken out, in Monza by Max when he deliberately drove the car on
Oh
Lewis's
yeah.
head. You look at moments like that and you start putting two and two together, and you're like, all these guys do is conspire against Lewis to stop him from winning. It's not even about them winning. As long as Lewis doesn't win, they'll take
Yeah.
that as a W. So
It's like
it's crazy, isn't it?
they keep bringing up Silverstone. I mean, God, get over it, man.
Exactly. And
When
to
they come
me,
out, for Silverstone, I say, right, what about Monza? What about
yeah.
Jeddah? What about
What about
Brazil?
Brazil?
You
even
know?
Abu Dhabi, even Abu
Oh
Dhabi,
yeah,
when like just like there's so many examples where you could see Lewis was clearly wronged, and people just have selective memory because they
hmm
don't want to accept Lewis like that, and it's a real.
like why did Albon not get a penalty, and why did Max not get a penalty
That's the
in
thing.
Monaco?
And that's the thing as well, Mary. Like a lot of Ferrari fans are saying, "Oh, the FIA, they're against us," but we've been saying this for years. We've been
Yes.
saying, and not only are they seeing it because now it's to their disadvantage, but it's the same
hmm
thing that we've been calling out for years. Like the Red Bull and Christian Horner and what's his name as well, like Helmut Marko,
Oh,
they've
Cheatley.
got yeah,
Oh,
and
and
Cheatley as
Cheatley.
well. They've got a weird stranglehold over this FIA. I don't know what. I don't know if they've got nudes. I don't know what information they have on the FIA that makes the FIA like move so like erratic in their decision making in one favor of them and against the others. It's
I
so
would love to
bizarre.
know what's up with Sky is. I mean, has Horner got shares in Sky? Because it's like constantly Red Bull Pitbull or Red Bull Garage or interviewing Horner. I mean, come on. It's like my worst fears every race weekend.
And that's the thing as well,
more.
Mary. Like, there's
And they've
if
taken away
if
my
the
Lewis cam as well. I had my Lewis cam every race. And for the last two races, I have not had my Lewis cam.
this
It's
is the
like,
thing as well, and they need to put that Lewis Cam there as well because it's not just because he's not in the top two now. Is it the
yeah.
time to think? Like, I'm sure they've got the Alonso Cam, so why can't Lewis have his Cam as well? Like he should. He's not doing badly or he's not doing poorly either. Like, he's sacrificing a lot of his own races to help Mercedes develop the car.
Oh,
And
yeah.
in some races, for example, Barcelona, it would have been incredible to see, like, on the
Oh,
actual
yeah.
car itself, the way he cut through the field and managed to secure his fourth place, but then with the cooling issues, dropped down to fifth. But yeah, Mary,
If
nobody
I
could
want to
tell.
get if I want to get cheered up, then I just watch the sprint and the race at Brazil. I cheer myself up watching the two hangs because what he done was unbelievable.
It was unthinkable, Mary. Like, no, I don't think anybody today has done that, and it was just class. He didn't run anybody off the circuit. He didn't punt anybody. He didn't crash anyone. There wasn't a safety
No,
car that he locked into. He smoked everyone the
oh
hard
yeah,
way and the legitimate way, and just the glorifiable way too. It was sensational, Mary. Honestly, but
it
actually, Mary,
just
go on,
yeah.
sorry.
No, you go on. Sorry.
I was going to say, because we've got some other kind of cool questions I want to put forward to you
Okay,
on this
I'm
show as
ready.
well, Mary.
Okay.
So, we've got a next segment, Mary. Like, basically, if you pick a driver for this question, you can't reuse that driver for another question.
Oh yeah, I remember these ones. Yeah, I really.
So now's your time, and we'll go through them. So I've mixed them up a bit. So we'll go with the
Yeah,
first one actually. Mary, you have to pick three drivers for these three things.
yeah.
So you have to pick a driver that's gonna give you a taxi drive into the city because you're gonna go on a date with another driver. And whilst you're having a date with that driver, there's another driver that's gonna be there that you have to completely avoid. So taxi, date, avoid. Which three drivers are you picking? Bear in
Uh,
mind you can't pick them again.
right. Avoid would be Alonso.
Hmm.
Uh, taxi, I would go with Ocon.
Yeah, good choice.
Yeah, I would go with Ocon. And the other one, I would go with Joe. There
Okay,
you go.
show on you.
Yeah,
I think he's a really like charming fella as well, and I really love his fashion sense too. He's cool. I like him.
and he's mature at his age, unlike somebody else that would.
Yes,
Yeah.
somebody that wears fake golden boots. Those
Oh
Wembley
yeah.
Market boots.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that guy, of course. Okay.
Yeah.
So next question. It's not even related to the driver. It's just Mary. You have to go to the British
Yeah.
Grand Prix this year, obviously at Silverstone.
Mhm.
And they're gonna do the national anthem, "God Save the Queen."
Mhm.
Which singer would you get to sing the national anthem?
Oh, what singer? Oh, oh,
That's
that's
a
a
tough
good
one for
one.
you.
That's a good one. You know who I would actually get? I would
Who
get
are you
Russell
thinking of?
Watson.
Ooh, okay.
There you go.
I'm not familiar with his work, Mary. Like, what sort of singer
Or
is he?
he's an opera singer. Or Michael Ball.
Ooh, Michael Bull would be amazing too. I think that would make the hair stand up on your arms. Like that would
Mhm.
be really. I think that
It's
would
a
be incredible.
passion. They sing with passion. If I really could get one person to sing British Grand Prix, British Grand Prix, British Grand Prix, sorry, it would be, he's Italian, Andrea Bocelli.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That I think it would just bring all of us to tears, Mary. I think
Yeah.
everyone on the grid would start crying, including Ricardo, because I know usually he's bopping his head during most national
Yes.
anthems. But I think like if we had those singers, just like it would just make their
That
hair
would
stand up
fire
on your
you
neck.
up, the passion in their singing, because they sing with passion. And that's what I would go with, the passion. And you would just feel it, and that would just be, yes, let's go. That type of thing.
It'd be so memorable. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay. And on the next one, then, so again, it's not necessarily a driver. It's just
Yeah.
you have to pick a member of Team LH to become the team principal to replace Toto. And because we've had the great Queen being Neely on the podcast before, you can't
Yeah.
pick Neely. You can't pick your sister.
Oh God, she'll not like that.
I know, right? She'll probably try and kill me off this episode.
Well, well, I would go with Gita.
Ah, Gita would be amazing.
Yes, I would go with Gita. How many do I need to pick then?
Okay, let's say you can pick a technical director and somebody to look after the social media accounts as well for the AMG team. Who are you gonna go for?
Uh, well, I picked you for the social media. There you go.
Aw, thank you.
There. I would put actually. Oh, who else would I pick? I would pick Juliana for technical. No, Bryson for technical. There you go.
Ooh, that'd be a dream team. And you know what? We'll keep Juliana in there too because she's an amazing individual. And
Yeah.
I just know from the things I've heard too that she has an amazing way of talking to people and understanding different personality types. And I think you need that too when you want to be like a manager and you don't want a toxic environment like a certain energy drinks company in
Yeah,
your
yeah.
team.
I
So
would, I would course be the VP.
oh, definitely, man. You'd have to be there too, and you'd literally just be like Lewis's hype person too, just there by his side, next to Angela and Bono, and just
I will deal with the media like Buxton, the rest and all that.
you'd be like, "Get out of my face, move!" You and Neely
I
would
would
just chase him
seriously,
away.
I would seriously love to have a conversation with Paul DeResta. Like, oh,
Oh, he'd be shaking in his boots, Mary. I can just tell already. He would be shaking in his boots. He'd be scared. Okay, the next question, or well, this one involves a driver now. So,
mm-hmm.
which driver would you choose to make a Netflix documentary about? So you can't pick Ocon, Zhao, or Alonso as you've already picked them.
Yeah. Can I go? Is this just modern drivers?
Any driver actually. It'd be interesting to get your take on this one. So any driver.
Eh, I would go with. Oh, I would go with Mansell.
I think that's a great choice. I think that's a great, and Mary as well. Like you would probably know better than me as well. Are there any kind of documentaries or any kind of like nice kind of like films or anything at all about like Mansell on there, even on
Not,
YouTube or
not
Netflix?
really. I mean, he's done a few interviews, but I just think he's one of the most underrated champions we've ever had, and he's such a
Mm.
gentleman. That's the only reason I'd pick that. Or I would love to do one on James Hunt as well, because he was like the playboy of the 70s.
That's true, and I mean we did kind of I guess get the whole Rush, Nicky Lauda and James Hunt kind of thing there, but for him to have his own spin-off series just about him and his lifestyle, covering
Mm-hmm.
his days because he was it Brabham or was it I think him and Bernie Eccleston were in a team as well in March. I think he drove for
He's
March first, wasn't it?
he had he was in a team before he joined the F1. He was in a team called Hescliff.
Oh,
It was
Heskey
one of the,
Racing. Yeah.
yes. He done oh, excuse me. He done F2 with him. He was
Mhm,
sort of pals with him. It was actually his brother, James's brother, that got him into McLaren.
mhm. Wow. Okay.
I think his brother was a banker, but he actually got him into McLaren because the seat became available and he wanted in.
And I guess the rest is history, isn't it? Because,
Yep.
like, again, I mean, that's the thing with Hunt as well. Like, I think people kind of relate to him more because of his party lifestyle and the antics off the circuit. But he was an immense driver too, to kind of
Oh
go
yeah,
up against the guys of his time, including Nicky Lauda too, which, even before the accident was really, really, really competitive as well. And,
yeah.
gave
And
no.
the best it was, they were actually very good friends. Him and
Exactly.
Nicky.
And that's the thing, like it's sad that now because of the media, it makes it almost impossible for two drivers to have a rivalry. but then to be respectful of the circuit, because the media are always interested in
Mm-hmm.
creating these fake narratives or creating like unnecessary beef, like what you see in Drive to Survive with the drivers too. So that's true.
Yeah.
But good choice there, Mary. I agree.
Yeah.
Um, next one will be
Mm-hmm.
pick one driver to cook you a meal. So they're actually gonna come to the house, Mary, and they're gonna come and cook your favorite meal. Which driver would you pick? And what would the meal be as well?
You know what? This might sound a weird choice, but I'd pick Giovanazzi.
That's not weird at all. Mary, I think that's probably the smartest answer I've heard on this question before because he's Italian, you can tell that he's very passionate about his food. He'd be
It's
amazing.
like a carbonara or something like that, or a lasagna, something like that, a proper Italian dish. Yeah.
Ah, Mary, man, you're making me hungry. You're making me hungry already. Now I just want some pesto. I could do some nice pesto. Mary, what are you doing to me? Okay, fair enough, fair enough. So that's who you pick for that one. Good choice. And the final driver question, Mary. So
Mm-hmm.
I know that you're probably reserving him, so now's your opportunity to use
Yes.
him. You've got to pick a driver that's going to take you out for a hot lap of a circuit of your choice. And obviously, the driver is your choice too. So,
Yeah.
what driver and what circuit would you pick for a hot lap?
That would be Lewis.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
yes. And believe it or not, it'd be the South African track.
Oh, Kailami.
Yes.
Ooh, okay, spicy, spicy. Out of
Mm-hmm.
all of the ones you could pick, Mary, why Kailami in particular?
I just like the track. I've always liked the track, but if I couldn't get that, I'd pick Singapore because I
Ah,
love that.
that'd be incredible. And then keeping on the topic of Lewis as well, that I believe I want to say 2019. That 2019 or 2018 lap of Lewis Hamilton around
2018.
Singapore.
It's quali lap 2018. That was sensational.
Ah, Mary, I could watch that. I could watch that lap in my sleep. That
Yeah.
lap was sensational. Just there are many amazing like Lewis Hamilton hot laps, but that one there, oof, oof, there was no margins left. Just
No.
he
And he
absolutely
finished it as well. Not
exactly
like
unlike certain
another
people,
driver. Yeah.
which did apparently allegedly one of the greatest laps of all time, but yet failed to finish it. And then because he failed
Yeah.
to set a good qualifying, he then resorted to dirty tactics in the
Mm,
actual Grand Prix too. But
yeah.
that guy is that guy. That's why he
Mm-hmm.
is where he is. That's why
Yeah.
I highly doubt he's ever gonna reach half of the feats that Lewis has
No.
achieved in Formula One. To be honest, but he
Lewis
is
has
who he
got
is.
like the biggest. Well, I'll say near enough all the records in F1. I think Vettel's still got the youngest driver.
And even then, Mary, that there'll be another youngest. There'll be
Mm,
that
yeah, yeah.
that one. It could be done with the right driver, right academy, right team. The ones that
Yeah.
Lewis has won, like the most
The
wins, most
polls.
poles,
Yeah.
most just it takes years of grafting
I
and
can't
getting it.
see anybody touching that. Like, I really can't.
Mary, I think some of those. I think for as long as the sport runs, Lewis will have his name on those records
Oh, yeah.
because it's just one in a lifetime. You don't get like a driver like Lewis. Just like he's just from another planet, and he just does it. The thing is, Mary, is it's not like he does it one week and then he gives you a mediocre performance the next week. Like he does it week in, week out without fail,
Yeah.
and just
I mean, the
it's
only thing that's letting loose down the now is the car, but I believe the power is in that car and it will come. And when it
exactly.
comes, that's why Marco's spouting out his crap again. Because he knows it's coming. I
Yeah,
think all Red
absolutely.
Bull knows it's coming. It's coming.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Mary. They would be silly to they would be really, really, really like, not doing themselves any favors if they think that, they've got it like in the bag. They don't. And there's so much that can happen and change over the years as well. So it's gonna be mega. It's gonna be
I mean,
super
I don't
mega.
know if you've noticed this, but I've noticed it. Max that way driving with Charles is totally different the way he was with Lewis.
I
Totally
agree, Mary.
different.
I
You know,
completely
he's
agree.
no what he used to bump Lewis off the track several times, but he's not doing that with Charles.
It's true, Mary. And that's the thing. There's part of me that thinks it's because he didn't have that respect for Lewis, and
Yeah,
he was trying. The next thing as well is I'll say is that every driver gets pressure from the media, so it's not an exclusive issue for him. But
no,
Red Bull had underperformed so much over the years that they were desperate. They knew that if they didn't win that championship last year, that there was no guarantee they'd ever put hands on the trophy again. So they resorted to playing outside of the rules of the
mhm,
sport to
mhm,
try and kind of like get one over, you know?
yeah,
And with the situation now, I think because Max has got that experience of fighting with the best, and also because he's got the penalty points in his license, but also because Red Bull have been more competent this year and actually built a
mhm,
competitive car, it
yeah,
means that he doesn't have to go about racing that way. He's got a car that's really powerful in straights, so it means that as long as he's in the DRS of a car in front, he can just follow
yeah.
them, you know, and
I
that
just
is a
feel,
completely different fight.
yeah, I feel the pressure's on him though this year, Debs,
It still is.
because
It's
he's got to win a championship on his own without
legitimately.
any help. Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. I agree. He has to do it legitimately. And if he doesn't, he'd be on fraud watch immediately, without
Yeah.
a shadow of a doubt. You
I
know,
mean,
but
he's got to. I just remember at the prize giving ceremony. I don't know if you can remember the wee kid that sort of was mentioning Lewis, and he's just standing there looking like that guy. That wee like just boom, see that. I grew up watching Lewis, blah blah blah, and all this. He smoked him out. It was so funny. The wee kid.
I can imagine, Mary. That's the thing as well. Like, whether they admit it or not, they have to respect Lewis. But like you said as well, when it's on circuit, when it's on track now, they'll do anything they can to try and put
Oh
Lewis
yeah,
down or try and make themselves seem better than Lewis. Because at the end of the day, that's the benchmark, and they have to accept that Lewis is the benchmark, and Lewis is going to be the benchmark only not today, not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, not next year, not
forever.
in 5 years, 10 years, for the whole rest of history, for the rest of time,
Yeah.
you know, until there's no more Earth, Lewis is gonna be that guy.
Um, I mean, Max will probably know this. I mean, in the history books, it'll be noted that how it went down in 21. He can't get away from that. I
Exactly,
mean,
and
I mean
that's
the
the thing as
French
well, Mary.
papers. The French paper actually got it right when they said Lewis Hamilton, 8-time world champion, and they were the only ones to do it.
Exactly, you know, because at least with the French media too, they're less biased and they're very unfiltered. The French, they say it as
Mm-hmm.
it is, and they've got a very honest nature about them, which I've always respected. But you're right, Mary. It's just it's just one of those things ultimately where I think people they thought it would go away. They thought people like me and you would go away, but we're still here and we're never
It'll
going
never
anywhere.
happen a month with Sundays. I will never.
Exactly,
I will never let them forget this.
exactly. And they're not off the hook either. It's not gonna
No.
change or it's not gonna be forgiven or forgotten. Like this is, it's war basically between us and
Did,
them.
did you see? Well, I call him the puppet now, Suleiman. I call him just a puppet and somebody else is pulling his strings. Did you see what he tweeted? That, oh, you can't have something about a race directors, or you can just buy
Oh,
them on Amazon.
you can't get race
Can you
directors on
can't
Amazon.
you can't say that?
Again, this is what I mean by it's just these people, Mary. They're not fit for purpose. He shouldn't even be in his role
No.
because he knows nothing about Formula One. It's all cool that they're trying to put different people from different backgrounds into the sport, but this guy has no street credit. Up until the whole Abu Dhabi incident happened, I didn't
Yeah.
even know who Mohammed Ben Sulayem was to begin
No.
with.
Never
So
even heard of him.
exactly, so for him to come in and then to be making these demands and unreasonable demands as well, take off
Yeah.
the jewelry. You're not setting good example to kids. They're the ones not setting good examples to
Yeah.
kids.
I
Because
believe that F1 will not change unless they get rid of the old guard and get new people in with no any affiliation to any team whatsoever. Be independent, just like the stewards. I don't know how Derek Warwick and Gary Connolly are still stewarding. You
Oh,
know,
exactly. With their great white shark comments as well.
yeah, yeah, the Great White Hope and that. Oh yeah.
Exactly. Just like it's just terrible. It's really sad because if you take all of the politics out of it, Mary, it's an amazing
Mhm.
sport. Even if you're not a Lewis
Yeah.
supporter, even if you support another driver, it could still be a great sport. But you've always got that kind of like post-traumatic stress in the back of
Yeah.
your head that at any moment these people could go rogue and do
Oh yeah.
something unimaginable, something you wouldn't
It's.
even think is comprehensible. They would
I
do.
mean,
So
they can do this, that, or the other, but they forget it's the fans that make F1. It's the fans that pay. They put bums on the seats, basically, and they pay the money. They buy this, they buy that. It's the fans that make F1. If there
exactly.
was no fans, there would be no F1.
This is true. This is true, and like you touched on earlier as well, Formula One was in a place where, yeah, they had all the multi-millionaire, billionaire kind of like, guys like Bernie with the Rolexes, but the,
Hmm.
the actual the actual vision, the actual kind of like the audience for the sport, it was in decline. So,
Yeah.
they that
Yeah,
it
it was
echoes
going
the point.
down. It's basically, even though Bernie owned it, it was basically Charlie running everything. Charlie was running F1 basically, and Charlie would if Charlie didn't want to speak to any teams, he would not speak to any teams. But the way that he was interacting with Red Bull, that was like, come on, eh?
Ah, it was so slimy. It was so slimy, Mary. From the team
Mm.
radio messages to the post race interviews to the propaganda, like it's just it's like wildfire with those people, Mary. Honestly,
And I'm
like
so pleased that it was Johnny Herbert that first of all came out and said what he did.
exactly. He was one of only a few on the Sky panel that was
Yeah,
just
that
completely
actually got off the fence and said something.
exactly, and to condemn them, and that's the people that we respect at the end of the day, because not everything's going to go in Lewis's favor. We get that
Mm.
sometimes, like it might not think, but it's honesty. People respect honesty. And
Yeah.
Damon Hill, Nico
Oh,
Rosberg,
he's just
Crofty.
went down in my expectations. I used to like Damon Hill. After Nigel
Yeah,
left, and then the driver I liked after that was Mika. I like Mika Hakkinen. But Damon, that oh, he just put over one tweet, and I really couldn't believe he actually said what he did about Lewis. I thought, come on,
it's
show
so
some
true.
respect.
It's so true. It's so true, Mary. That's the thing. That's the thing as well. Like it's just crazy, isn't it? And it's just one of those things where we can only hope, eh? We can only
Yeah.
hope, and at least for us, unlike certain fan bases, we have like a whole lifetime of happy memories,
Oh
achievements,
yes.
moments, to reflect on.
I
So,
mean, I think some of Max fans are also Vettel fans, to be honest. It's like somebody, I mean, somebody sent me a tweet. I couldn't believe this. Max should have won the 2019 championship. I went, where were you watching? I
exactly, under what pretense? Under what? When did he did like? I don't recall
think
Max
he won
ever.
3 races that season, if I remember rightly. He won 3 races. Lewis won about, what, 12 or something?
Yeah,
I
it would
can't
have been
even.
in excess of that, Mary. That's the thing. Like
Yeah,
I don't know where these guys they get their kind of like points from, Mary. Honestly, they're lost.
it
They
makes
must be
me
lost in
laugh.
translation. Honestly,
It
it's one of
makes
those
me
things,
laugh
Mary.
sometimes.
Oh, you have to laugh at them though, Mary, because they're not serious at all. You can't call those guys F1 fans. And to kind of
Oh,
round
no.
up this episode as well, Mary,
Yeah.
because like it's we have to get you on as well, by the way, and hopefully
Oh,
by
yeah.
then you have a webcam too, because I'd love to do
Yes.
like interactive one on the YouTube channel where we can get
Oh, yeah.
fans and comments and stuff like that in too as well. It'd be
Oh,
amazing.
yeah.
But the final kind of thing I wanted to put forward to you, Mary, is just your predictions is for the upcoming Azerbaijan Baku Grand Prix, because it's an interesting one and it's a bit more of a conventional circuit than
Yeah.
AKA Monaco. So, what are your thoughts for Lewis, the team, and just generally how that race is going to pan out?
I'm just the way I am now. I just want to see Lewis get a podium. I don't care what it is. I just want him on the podium.
Mhm.
I just want him to have get a bit of luck. I think he deserves a bit of luck because he's not had any luck whatsoever, apart from the first race, and that was brilliant. He got on the podium. I just want it's Lucy's time to have a bit of luck. I just want him to do well this. I'm
Mhm.
really hoping this is when this car kicks in for him, and he's still in with a chance. If he doesn't, nothing happens very soon, then he'll need to look forward to next year to win the championship. And I'm resigned for that, Denz. I'll take that. But as long as they give him a car where he can do what he does best, I'll be happy with that. But I just want him to get a bit of luck and kickstart his first win because that'll be amazing.
That's exactly it, Mary. Like what we always say about Lewis is like one of a million things you can say about Lewis is that once he gets that one, it's all he needs. It's just one,
Hmm.
and he just finds this incredible momentum, and he can bring it. He can get one here, one there, one here, one
Yeah,
there, one there, and he goes on a magnificent run. So
and
I agree.
thing is, Denz, it's coming up to some of Lewis's favourite tracks like Montreal, Silverstone. You know, he tends to perform well there.
Mhm. It's so true. It's so true, and he's broken so many records there as well. So, if there was ever a time, now is the time, as you said. And
Yeah,
he's got, like, it's not been an easy road for Mercedes this season by no stretch of the
no,
imagination. But it's those difficulties that develop your understanding and bring the team even closer. And we know that Lewis has been making a lot of sacrifices for the team. So
yeah,
he's been doing that for the
yeah.
team. As you said,
Of
I
course,
hope the team can do something for him.
I don't want Lewis data carrying anymore. I think I've
Oh
got
gosh,
enough
yeah.
data.
Those infamous words, Mary. Yeah, we're collecting data. Oh gosh.
No,
That infamous one-liner. Oh dear, yeah. I mean, that's exactly it. If they're gonna do it for the better, cool. But there has to
yeah.
be that you got to give us something in exchange for that as well. So
The tide needs to change. Lewis needs to have some luck for a change. The tide
that's so
needs to
true.
change.
And even then, Mary, he's not had the best of luck, but he's still there or thereabouts. He's not,
Yeah,
washed
he's
up
not
like
giving up.
certain other drivers.
Yeah,
Exactly. He's still
he's not giving up. It's no in his way. Lewis is not a quitter. Lewis is a fighter.
exactly that, Mary. That's so true. And no true words were spoken. So, Mary, are there any final words you wanted to say to like your adoring fans? Because trust me, you have
My
fans
Tony
too.
Pants.
You do. You do.
I would just like to say hello to the ladies. Eh, and who else follows me? Respect you all. That's it.
Aw, Mary, honestly, you're a gem and just you're one
I
of
mean,
many reasons.
I'm talking ladies, they'll know who it is. Millie, Gita, Juliana, Sloan, Naomi, Crystal. They know who they are.
Oh
And
yeah, the
Sumi.
family.
Can't forget Sumi.
Oh, of course, Nasimi is amazing as well.
Oh,
And
Sam
yeah,
or
you
Jimmy.
mentioned
Oh, God. I better put in Sam and Grace and, you know, they know who they are.
the whole family. Yeah, well, that's the
Yeah.
thing. We're a very close family, and I know they're going to be listening to this one because we had some really great and true talking points as well. That's the key. So,
At
it's
least
been
I
a
got all
pleasure,
my
Mary.
questions right. I couldn't
Yeah,
think
you
of that.
got 6 out of 6 as well. I think you might actually be on the leaderboard as well, Mary. So,
Here, I
shout
would
out to
love
you as well.
that. I'd love that. And what have you got coming up, Dens?
Oh well, I've got a sim race coming up on Wednesday at Hungaroring, so one of Lewis's favorite
Oh,
tracks. Really looking
yes.
forward to that. So that's been
Is
good.
that with that? Is that with that lovely Red Bull person?
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah.
We just about tolerate him. We just, it's funny as well. Like that, I think would be a very fiery episode too. Maybe one day I have to get him on here too, and we can have a Red Bull Mercedes battle for the
Oh,
ultimate supremacy.
that would be good banter.
Oh gosh, it'd be fireworks, wouldn't it? I have to line that up
Yeah.
with Georgina soon. But yeah, just doing a bit of that, a bit of this. We've got the Le Mans 24 hours to look forward to as well
Oh
this
yeah.
weekend. So
But
again, that's
what did you make? I'll need to have a shot in your car. That
yeah.
car looks that car looks sweet. Like,
Oh, thank you, Mary. Honestly, I'm gonna have to take you from one of my own hot laps in it very soon. So,
oh well, I would take that any day, Denz. Any day, any day.
oh, we'll set it up. Maybe that might even be even more content creation ideas for the YouTube channel.
Oh
So,
yeah, endless possibilities, Denz. Endless.
see, we're forward thinking podcasts here on stripping the dipping.
Yeah,
So, absolutely, I think that would be incredible, and I'm sure if the listeners as well, if you're checking this out, make sure you comment on the video as well, or the kind of stream that's gonna go out, and you let us know, where you'd like to see me take Mary out for a track day, because we've got some amazing
yeah.
tracks in the UK,
Oh yeah,
Silverstone even being one of them. So maybe
yeah,
I'll take you around Silverstone.
yeah. Or Brands Hatch, Denz.
Ooh, yeah, Brands Hatch is another one
Oh,
too, which driver's track.
I'd love to do that. I know it, you can't do it now, but I'd love around the old Nürburgring. Oh my God, that banking.
Oh, it's incredible. Well, not even that. It's still open to a lot of tourists. I know that they've made a couple of changes, but
Oh,
the long kind of like,
we could do that.
exactly, yeah, like
I'd be
123
up for
kilometers.
that. I'm like pure adrenaline.
Ah,
I
that'd be
love
fun.
that.
We'll definitely have to do like a German trip together, Mary. That'd be amazing
Oh
as well.
yeah, oh yeah, and love to Georgina as well.
Oh, she absolutely adores you as well. So, yeah, the boss lady
I love
Georgina in
you.
the house. There she is. Oh, ooh, love and all smiles here at Stripping the Dipping. And amazing. Mary, thank you so much for your time. We definitely
That's
have to get you
okay,
back
then.
on, in the next couple of months, again, to have a
Anytime,
check in.
anytime.
Definitely. Oh, it's been amazing. And guys, make sure that you engage, make sure you tweet, make sure you share with all your friends and family. We're gonna have Mary again very soon, so make sure you stay tuned for that too, with all the beautiful ideas that we're gonna make a reality in the very incoming future. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And yeah, just as always, guys, we hope that you're keeping amazing, that you're keeping your heads up. We hope that you're staying strong and having a good time. And even if you're not, that we're all here as part of one big family, to help each other through hard times. And yeah, until next time, guys, it's been your boy, the Smooth Operator. I didn't hit the note quite clearly there, but I'll come with it better next time. But it's been your boy, AMG Denz, and I am out. Peace.